Bye-bye.
Sayonara.
Peace.
The Broke Otaku podcast is brought to you by Goatgurt. What is Goatgurt? Well, you see, the year is 2031. Cows are extinct, along with half of the human population. In order to feed everyone, or at least the people who are worth feeding, we developed Goatgurt. It is the yogurt made from the milk of the goat. However, new ingredients have been added, enhancements, and also selective poisons to taper off the booming population. You see, Goatgurt causes extreme fertility in some species of men. So, measures had to be taken. Anywho, get your Goatgurt today for the low price of 3 fingers.
Welcome to the Broke Otaku podcast. My name is AJ. With me is Marcus, a.k.a. I don't really want to say that. Okay, I'll say it.
He'll think it's funny. It's not racist.
Oh, God.
Marcus, a.k.a. the Negromancer.
Come on, say it right.
The Negromancer.
Negromancer.
All right, Whitey. It's time. All y'all about to be black now. Shazam!
Twinkle, twinkle.
Why does
twinkle.
every Negromancer say Shazam?
Oh, man. Where to begin with that?
What?
I knew you were going to say Shazam, and you said it. I mean,
Oh, well, you know what? Just doing my part to fulfill the stereotypes, I guess. I don't know.
Sorry.
It's
somebody-
Shaq's fault. I blame you,
him
Shaquille O'Neal.
and his stupid
Shaquille
Shazam
O'Neal.
movie.
You tall motherfucker.
Wait, what's the he was Shazam? Okay,
He was Kazam.
he was Kazam. That's
yeah.
what it was, and Shazam was from the alternate dimension that everyone thought he was in a movie called Shazam when he wasn't.
Right. Berenstein Bears.
Berenstein Bears.
Nelson
Dang.
Mandela's dead. All that jazz.
Yep. Alternate realities. And Alan, aka USS Mafty.
Clear to land. USS Mafty. Why is it called Mafty? No one knows. It's a stupid name. They should change it. I know.
Come on. Anyway.
Captain Mafty.
Everything is
Mafty
Mafty. USS
Mafty.
Mafty.
We've got
Captain
a Mafty on the Mafty Maft.
Mafty Flakes.
Mafty Flakes.
They're covered in sugar. What's the game?
This is a game called OPED that I made up
Uh-oh.
because we had a little conversation last week about OP and ND or ED, and I was like, "Why is it called ED?" And you guys were like, "Ending." So I took that and made a game out of it.
What the
This is
hell?
what happens.
I have no idea what this is going to be.
It's not that bad. So we're talking about some Gundam shit this week, in case you haven't guessed. So
Gundam!
Gundammit. So I'm gonna give you some letters, and each letter is the first sound of a syllable in a word. So it's better explained by example. So here's the first one: MTNVER. And think of the name we were just saying.
I don't remember his name. Mafty something.
Mafty Cheruvier Novella.
I gotta pull my
No,
notes.
so
up.
the MT is Mafty,
Okay.
and then it's NVER.
Never.
This is gonna be
pull
awful.
my notes
This game is oh, this is a disaster already.
Ooh.
Mafty.
It helps to write it down. It helps to write it down
Navu
because
Aaron.
All right,
Mafty
Maf-
Navu Aaron.
Mafty
I'm gonna get a pen and
Nevu
paper.
Erin.
Aaron.
Aaron.
Hey, Mafty,
Aaron.
Nephew, Aaron.
Mikasa.
And Emeraldo.
Ottoman.
Armin.
Captain
All right.
Kenneth Slag.
Uh,
Yeah.
all right. Does everyone understand how the game works?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
MTNVER is Mafti Nevu Erin
Okay.
because ending was the inspiration.
I get it.
All
This
right.
game's gonna be
Okay.
Great.
Uh,
It's gonna be great.
do you want me to tell you what they're from? Which movie they're from?
if
Let
you want
us
us to
guess.
get it right.
Let's let's guess first, and then you can give us hints when we suck too bad. How about that?
Okay. This first one is L. All right, and actually, you guys just shout it out. There's not going to be turns. This is going to be more fun if you guys just are shouting shit.
Okay.
So, this first one is LDB.
What? This doesn't line up with the example.
Is
LDB?
LDB. So that means there are 3 syllables, and the first sound
Lub,
L D B.
lub, lub.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
never
What's it
mind. You're
from?
gonna have to tell us what they're from.
All right, this one's from Char's.
Okay.
Oh.
La la, ba ba da.
All right, we might have to cut this game short.
Well, there was a
The-
chick named Lala in it, but I don't. The rest of her name was not that.
Lala Sun. I had to Google what that was all about. But anyway, do you guys give up?
Yeah, no, we're not going to get that.
The answer is Londo Bell.
Oh,
don't know
London
even-
Bell. Okay, gotcha.
Londo Bell, not
Yeah.
London Bell.
Well, whatever. I don't care.
I know. You don't care. Nobody cares.
Wait, it's not Londo Bell, is it?
Yeah, it
It's
is.
Londo is one word. Bell.
Londoll.
Oh, but you're okay.
ELL. Yes, it's Londo.
But
Bell.
it's not. Okay.
It's syllables,
I'm gonna
dude.
argue.
Like,
No,
the
it's not
syllables.
syllables.
Yes, it is. According to the
OP
rules.
opening.
Yeah.
That's
open,
3 syllables.
Open, and ding.
ending.
It's the syllables.
That's
It
what
goes
it's
perfectly in
open.
line with how he described the game. I'm not saying it's a good game. I'm just saying his rules are consistent
All right, let's move on.
with the
Let's move on.
gameplay.
You're right.
Okay.
Fine.
This next one, KT, or sorry, CTKNS.
Shit.
Char's counterattack, something like that.
Char's Counter-Strike.
AJ, you just said it a little bit ago. That's your ultra
What was
super
it?
mega hint.
CTATX.
Oh.
CTKNS.
Captain Kenneth Slag.
Ding, fucking ding. You got it. That's gross. Stop doing it. AJ gets 1 point. Moving right along. This next one is S. Oh, I messed this up. Oh, no, I didn't. SWT.
SWT.
It's from Char's. It's from the
Why
first
do you take
half
all this
hour.
stuff from Char's? It's not even the movie we're
Because
supposed to
Char's
watch.
had more things to pull
Char's
from.
had a lot more things in it.
Char's had a lot of proper nouns.
SWT.
I don't know anything.
Single wing
Transistor blade.
tenant. I don't know.
It's only
SWT.
3 syllables.
Si-
SWT.
Slow.
I don't remember what anything is called.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That's part of my.
Sweetwater. Sweetwater. How could you forget Sweetwater?
Sweetwater, the colony.
Yeah, the colony.
The
damn
colony
it.
where the space noids live.
The colony is gonna be destroyed. I'll
Space
save you.
noids.
You're a space noid. Get back into space noid.
Slag off, Space Noid.
All this gravity is making you stupid.
Hold on, somebody did say at one point, "Damn gravity!"
Yep.
Like of all the things to curse. Okay. Let's do one more. Let's do one more.
Do two more.
2 more. Okay, fine. NOZO.
Neo Xenon.
Thank you. Even though it's not Xenon, it's Xeon.
Xeon, whatever.
But
I don't know
fine.
why. In my head, I always say Xenon. Like, I know it's Xeon. I see it on the screen. But in my head, it's always Xenon. I don't know why.
All right, we are tied. The last one is NT.
New type.
Marcus, crushing it. AJ, this is your last chance. You're not going to get it, but here we go. QSV. There's absolutely no way you'll get this.
Quest.
That's a really good guess.
It's not that. No. I know it's not that. Because her last name is Paparazzi or Paparazzi or something.
Paparazzi. Yeah, I don't know.
Actually, let me do a different one. This one is not. What does Can you tell me what ECOAS stands for? It's not like the other ones. It's just an abbreviation.
Earth Colony something something.
That's a really good guess. What does the AS stand for?
Also,
Asteroid Service.
Earth
Colony. Assassin Squad.
Earth Colony.
You basically had it, Marcus.
Squad.
It's just Earth Colony Asteroid, which for some reason is the name of like a squad of warriors or something or fighters.
Okay,
AKA Manhunter.
Yeah, see, okay, that was a good one. That was a trick because I was like, well, I knew about the Manhunter group, but I didn't realize that was the slang for what they really are. So I'm guessing the Earth Colony, whatever, is a formal name, and the Manhunter is the name that they're called colloquially. Gotcha.
Yup.
See, this is.
So that's the game. Marcus won, and let's get into it. We're making record time here.
This is my thing with Gundam. Is like,
we're just
I
want
right
to.
In it. I am. I'm
Proper
piggybacking
nouns.
off the game.
Proper nouns.
There's so many things to know and remember. Like, you seriously have to take notes when you're watching. Like, I would love to be like one of those super Gundam nerds who knows like the timeline and all the characters and how all the intrigue plays into the other stuff and like really get into it and know how it all connects. But like, you freaking have to take like a 15 credit college class to be able to speak Gundam.
Yeah, it's a course sequence.
Yeah, it's like I mean, you could watch like the movies and get the origin stuff, but if you really like to know all of it, or at least have just a general understanding, it's a commitment. And they just throw all kinds of proper nouns and history at you, and not to say that it's bad, like it's good. Like I'm happy for people who like Gundam because they have a lot of content that they can consume, and I'm sure not all of it's great, but yeah, for like the barrier to entry is very high, I feel.
All right.
So did we talk specifically about what we watched rather than just saying Gundam? Because that means
that was my
things.
Gundam rant, but now we can talk about it.
Let's lay it out. We watched the new Netflix Gundam partial film. I guess it's part 1 of 3. Hathaway. And then
it's Hathaway.
It's Hathaway. Okay, fine. And then we also watched some or all of Char's Counterattack for contrast and context and connections and things.
And the reason why that's relevant is that Hathaway is essentially a sequel of sorts to Char's Counterattack.
Indeed.
Yes.
And it does not star Anne Hathaway, which was very disappointing. Very disappointing. I was hoping...
That would be the dumbest shit ever. They just make a Gundam movie starring Anne Hathaway because it's called Hathaway.
No, man, that's genius, because then they just put whoever's starring, they put their name in the title, and then the people will come.
Hathaway is Hathaway.
Mobile Suit Gundam Roberts. Mobile Suit Gundam.
That's all of them. Jenkins.
Lovato.
Demi Lovato.
Mobile Suit Gundam Perry.
Luke Perry? Isn't he dead?
Sure.
Did he die?
In this
Maybe
in this timeline, Luke Perry.
one
is
of
dead.
them.
Who is Luke Perry?
He
Is
did
that the
die. He
guy
died
from
back in
Friends?
March.
Uh-oh.
Alan just
Just
hung up on the meeting. He said,
Internet's
"I'm
happening.
done
I
with
lost
this
everyone.
freaking podcast."
Hold on, I'm coming back.
Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back, bro. Where'd you go?
I hit Control T to open a new tab, but that's not what happened.
Oh, that's
He has a button on his computer that just says off. And he hits that.
And
Oh,
this
that's what the
call-
O stands for.
Luke Perry died March 4th, 2019.
Who was Luke Perry?
He's a
90210.
comedian actor. Comedian.
No, he was in 90210.
Oh, he
Comedian?
wasn't oh, I only know him from The Simpsons. His Simpsons cameos.
Yeah,
He's
he
only
was
52.
cameo. Yeah. Yeah, he was
Oh, no.
90s heartthrob. He
Let's
played
see.
Dylan, I think. The bad
Yes.
boy.
I
His
hope
name
you're
is-
making that up.
His
but I
name is
feel like
definitely
you're not.
Dylan.
No, well, even if he didn't play Dylan, there definitely was a dude named Dylan in 90210. I'm not making that up.
Now I gotta
wouldn't-
check.
I wouldn't doubt it. I don't doubt you for a second.
Anyway, enough of Matthew Perry. What you bozos think of these two movies?
Luke Perry.
So I didn't like it at first.
Which
and
one?
then, Hathaway.
Okay.
I didn't
Okay,
like
I
it
guess
at
yeah,
first.
we should talk about Hathaway first.
Let's
and then
talk
just
about
bring up-
Hathaway. We're mostly talking about Hathaway, but
Okay.
I'm going to use Char's for contrast.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I didn't like it at first. I think it's like okay, so I was watching it dubbed, right? And one of the things they did was they didn't like the translation in the subtitles is different from what they actually said
Mm-hmm.
in the dub, and that kind of bothered me. And also I thought the American, I don't know, somehow the dialogue just came off as kind of pretty dumb, and it also took them a long time to actually like show a Gundam and have things happening with that. So I was like, but that was before I knew that it was part of a trilogy, so shame on me for not doing my homework. But still, and but then I like took a break, and then things finally picked up, and I was like, okay, aside from all the bad like love triangle like dialogue, I thought it was a pretty cool setup. Like this guy who's kind of leading this revolt, kind of becomes one of the people on the ground, and like gets feedback. People don't know it's him that they're talking about. So he kind of like realizes how he's seen in the eyes of the people, which was an interesting perspective. So I am looking forward to the next two to see how it all plays out. But yeah, it was all right overall, is my feeling.
AJ.
Yeah, so this was based on a book. I don't know if you guys knew that.
I did. I looked that up on Wikipedia just like 30 minutes ago.
Yep. So yeah, I'm not going to read the books, but from what I've read, it is a pretty faithful adaptation of the book. So I'm sure fans of Hathaway Gundam will be all about that, and for that I'm happy. Hathaway. I did watch it dubbed, and I think the reason I did is because there's a lot of fast talking. And I think it's not just the dub that did that, but it's just the way that they spit dialogue in Gundam is very quick because they try to say a lot in a short amount of time, and it's difficult for me to follow because I'm slow and dumb. But so watching it dubbed definitely helps with that. And Alan, what you're referring to is called dub titles, when you put the subtitles match the dubs, and that's a big faux pas in the anime world. People don't like that. It'd be nice if they had both, where if you watched it in Japanese, it was dubbed for the Japanese translation, and then if you watched in English and needed that closed caption, that would be better. But I know what you mean.
That's what they should just do, is offer a closed caption option that's separate from the actual dubbing.
Right. But anyway, I felt like the way I feel about Gundam pretty much any time I watch Gundam is that I feel like I'm missing something. Every time I watch a Gundam show, they mention something that's happened in the past, and I'm like, I wish I knew what they were talking about or had some kind of context. And I think in this movie, it's not as bad as it is in some other movies or series. But you still get that a little bit, like, oh, this was part of Char's counterattack and the war and blah, 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 and 100 years ago and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, all that sounds pretty cool. Wish I knew what you're talking about and I could connect it all together. But then it goes back to what I said before, like that's a homework assignment. Like, you have to know the history of Gundam to be able to piece all these things together. But that being said, I thought that this show had some obviously really good animation. I thought the story was pretty palatable, and it was enjoyable, especially like mid to end. I think once the Gundams kind of showed up and they had that scene where the Gundams were like on the planet and they were like, it was from the perspective of the people on the ground watching the Gundams fight. Like, that was pretty cool. I don't know how often that happens in Gundam, but I don't feel like I've ever seen that much before. So that was kind of unique, at least for me. There was a lot of really interesting details in some of the animation. For some reason, watching the dude cut the steak was like really interesting for me, because it was like super detailed and like super elaborate, and the art's like just amazing. So that's good stuff. I don't know why that was so noticeable, but once I saw that, I was like, it's a really good looking movie.
Just because you love steak so much.
Maybe I was just hungry.
Steak perv.
Steak is fucking good. That's why.
I think my biggest thing with the characters, some of the characters, they were just so like cliche. Like the captain dude who was basically just sexually harassing Gigi the whole time and like trying to get him to sleep with her. Like, if you don't sleep with me, we're gonna lose the war. Like, what? Who says that? Like, he literally said that.
That's basically what he says.
And Gigi, who was just like this, I don't know, her character was just so.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
About her.
I want to talk about that relationship once we get into it, but
the twist, I honestly didn't see the twist coming, which I don't know, maybe I should have if I had been paying attention closer. And I don't know if we want to spoil it for the podcast, or those who haven't watched it, go watch it and then come back and listen, I guess, if you want to. But
we'll spoil it later.
We'll spoil it later.
Not at this moment.
But I thought that was an interesting way to do it, and I almost wanted to go back and watch it again. I didn't end up doing that because I just didn't have the time, but to see if they actually followed through with what that twist was and how that paid off, and if it made sense from the beginning. But yeah, overall, it was a good movie. I think it's worth watching, and I think I'm going to watch the sequels when they come out, because if nothing else, they look really good. Marcus, what you got?
So Gundam is like that class that I had in college that, like, it seemed like the better option of something that would fulfill the same sort of credit. And in a way, I was kind of excited about it. But the problem is, I only ever got 4 hours nights of sleep. 4 hours night of sleep. And so I'm like in the lecture hall listening, and there are a bunch of words being said, and I know what all the words mean, but I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That's every Gundam I've ever watched. I haven't watched a lot of Gundam. I've only watched 2 series, which is 0083 and Gundam Wing. And now I've seen, Char's, this will actually have been my 3rd time watching Char's, and then Hathaway. So those 4 only really. And I mean, I've seen like bits and pieces of other ones, but for the sake of this conversation, that's really the extent of my my exposure to Gundam. And like, yeah, it's the same every time I watch it, where it's not what I want it to be. Like, I want Gundam to be one thing, and it's another thing. What I want Gundam to be is what it is in this movie when the Gundams are fighting, and the animation is super great. And like the mobile suit design is awesome, and the battles are super kinetic and they're interesting. They do a lot of cool things with perspective. And like you were saying, when you see it from the vantage point of the people, and then you see these huge machines next to them in scale, it's like, oh my God, that's so crazy. And then they always have so many weapons. They have like laser guns and freaking cannons and the energy swords, different types of shields. They come in different shapes. Some of them can kind of like transform to be quasi jet fighter, quasi, humanoid mech thing. Like it's all of that stuff. The machinery of Gundam and the battles are so cool. And I guess like the approach that they take in how they build combat, how they build militaristic conflict in a sci-fi way that excites the imagination and gets you excited. But then all of the people suck all the time. I hate them all. I can't think of one Gundam character that I genuinely am like, that person is awesome. Unless they're just kind of badass. I don't really like them like they're a good human being as much as like they do cool shit. Like in Gundam Wing, my favorite character is probably Wu Fei. Why? Just because he's just like Vegeta. He's always pissed.
He kicks ass.
Yeah, he's just pissed and he kills people, and it looks awesome when he does it. Like, that's really the only reason I like him. There's no like real character arc about him that I love. Like, I'm not invested in his feelings or anything or how he relates to other people. It's just that like he gets in the dang robot and fucking slays. That's really all I care about. So like there's that, and then there's the whole thing you were talking about, AJ, with like the world. Like I'm a sucker for world building. I do not like Gundam's world building at all because it doesn't bring me. None of them ever bring me into what is actually happening. Like, I know that depending on the Gundam you watch, there's the universal century. At one point, I knew what that calendar meant. I knew what the point was where they kind of started the time over and it became universal century, 0001. I don't remember what that is anymore. But I kind of know that that's a thing. I know that Gundams are a stronger version of the mobile suits. I know that they're space noids who are basically colonists who live in space who no longer live on Earth. And I was reminded of new types when I did my research after having watched Hathaway before I watched Char's, which I wish I would have knew what a new type was before I watched Hathaway, because they don't talk about it explicitly, but there's you have to know what that is for a certain character to be important. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. That character sucks anyway, besides that, though.
Yeah, I Googled it while I was watching the movie because I knew I'd heard it before, but I just didn't remember much about it.
Yeah.
Universal Century, just FYI, is when the high worlds of space colonies began.
Okay.
Immigration to the high worlds.
Okay. So basically the inception of space colonization. That makes sense. But yeah, but like you were saying, AJ, they talk about a lot of events and a lot of wars, and like they don't mean anything to me. It's like if an alien came here and the three of us are having a conversation and I'm like, well, Japan was never really the same after World War II. The alien's like, okay, what does that mean? It's like, well, I have to explain like all the details of the war. The Cliff Notes version is there's this thing that we created called the atomic bomb that we fucked them over with twice that kind of ended things and kind of fucked with their collective psyche. But that's what it's like. They speak a lot of internal lingo, and for these movies or for Hathaway, you don't really have to know about that stuff, but like to really follow the movie, because the movie's plot is relatively simple. But at the same time, you don't understand why things are important. So you can follow it and see stuff happen, but at the same time, it's like okay, like, cool. It's like reading a piece of information out of a reference book. It's not really an interesting narrative. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's that's the thing, is like you have to be a hardcore Gundam fan. Like you can watch a Gundam movie and enjoy it for what it is, but to really get the most out of it, you have to have that history, at least to a degree. And I think like you and I kind of have the same approach, Marcus. Like we approach Gundam as like action movies. Like we want to see giant mechs fighting, and make it look cool, but also have, you know, some meaning behind it, like have some kind of story that's feeding into the battles to make them feel like they're actually, there's weight to them. And I think there is that, but you have to dig a lot to get there. Where it would, regardless of which Gundam you watch, like Gundam Wing, like you can kind of watch it beginning to end and it's a complete story. The movies, they feed a lot off of like the origins of Gundam and kind of everything that's happened in Universal Century leading up to, you know, whatever event you're currently watching. I mean, you look at like the Wikipedia page, there's 100 years of Universal Century and each one has like a little blip about what happened at that time. So like to even like catch up on what's happening in the universe of Gundam, you have to read this like
does Gundam Wing even take place in that?
I don't think Gundam Wing's even in.
I don't think it does.
Yeah, I think
Gundam Wing is one of the ones that's outside of that.
Right. So yeah, on top of that, you have everything that happens outside of Universal Century. So who knows where that falls? It could fall anywhere.
But before I just bag on it, because I feel like I've been nothing but negative a lot the last few episodes, like I will agree that the animation is amazing. Like I love the style of it. I like how they threw it back and made it look like that late 80s, early 90s anime style. Like it's probably like my favorite anime style as far as the art goes. So that was super cool. And like when there was action was fucking great. Like it looked so cool. And especially when they had the engagements that were in the air. Like when they're dropping down to the city, or when in the last battle, when they're like fighting out over the water, it reminded me a lot of Macross, like stuff that I had seen in Macross Plus and Macross Zero years and years back. And Macross, for those that don't know, it's a mech anime too, but it leans a little bit more on like just jet fighters that can turn into mechs. But so there's just like a lot of aerial battles that are more just like dog fights that you feel like you're in the cockpit of an airplane or jet fighter. And they did it had a lot of that feel in it too, which makes the battle feel more tense because it's like when they're moving their vehicle around, like you feel like the inertia and the G forces and all of that stuff going, which makes the battle feel more intense. So that was really cool. I appreciated that stuff. And then like the opening where they rescue the plane from the fake terrorists or whatever. Like that was really good too. Like the dialogue fucking sucked, but the actual engagement of them taking the dudes out on the shuttlecraft was awesome.
It's hard to say, like, because I feel like they cram a lot in the Japanese, so to translate it to English is a feat, and to do it well, I think they did it as best they could with what they had.
They did not.
Hathaway.
They did not. Okay, let me say. Okay, AJ, you said you wanted to watch it again, which is funny because I actually went back and I watched the first like half hour or so again, like all the stuff on the plane. So the first time I watched it dubbed, and I was like, God, I hate this girl. I hate all these people. I just hate their everything they say makes me sick. And what does this have to do with giant robots fighting? And
but that's the thing, is like Gundam's not about giant
no,
robots
I know,
fighting.
but I went back and I watched it dubbed, or I watched it subbed, and it was so much better. I don't know if it's because you didn't have to hear the girl going like, or like just Japanese is just like more fun and cooler to listen to when you're just reading. I don't know. It's kind of like when JRPGs moved into like 3D fully voiced, Like, it was way better when you just read it and filled in the rest in your head.
Because they could say some super cringe stuff in like type.
Yeah, but it's
kind of
not...
like, that's a silly line.
Yeah. And you don't, they don't add their own special brand of cringe to it.
It doesn't become the laughing scene in Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, I mean, Gigi's was probably the most cringiest dialogue. Well, I don't know.
She was.
Like, that
I watched
that whole thing with her and Ken, and like just the unnecessary, like all the fan service that they did with her, and like it was just naked for no reason at some point. It's like that was completely unnecessary. It's a big waste of time in my mind. Like that's fine. Like I thought her character was kind of cool. Like the idea where like, oh, she can see like right through people's bullshit. What are you thumbs downing for?
I hate her.
I don't like her personally, but I think the idea for her character where like she can see through everyone's bullshit is cool, and like that's how that's how they set up this part where like, oh, she's the one who sees through this guy Hathaway Noah, who is actually this what I think like this insurgent leader named Mafdi. And like, don't get me started on all the names in Gundam. I don't know who names these people, but it's ridiculous. And they even have Gigi say it's barely even a name, which is funny.
Andalusia.
Oh, it's a mix of Old Irish and Sudanese or something. He's just like, yeah, whatever. Somebody like threw darts at a board and like threw a bunch of syllables together. Mafti Nevu Air. Like, does anyone say these things out loud before they like take him to? It's like, okay, here's this thing. We have to say it about 300 times. Let's make sure it's not as annoying as possible.
And on top of all the history and intrigue that you have to follow, these like over the top names that you can't even remember.
Right. But okay, so you got Hathaway, you watch Hathaway, it gets better. The second half is way better than the first half, for my money. But then you go watch the first half hour of Char's, and yeah, it's more like name soup. There's a lot of proper names going on, but it just feels more alive. It feels more like a bigger part of a bigger universe. It feels like a living, breathing world to me, where like people's names and their titles get thrown around because it's a military operation and that's how it works. I don't know if it's just because I like the animation style so much more and I just have like more respect for it, because just like, man, drawing those robots looking awesome, and like every frame is hand drawn, and there's a car that isn't computer animated. And you're just like, they just drew the fucking car. They just drew it, and it looks fine, and it's great. And also they start the movie like there's action in like the first 15 minutes, and it's just like, why didn't they look at this and take this kind of as a cue when they're writing the story? I guess it's based on a book, but still.
Well, yeah, I mean, in my ideal picture, I like big robots. I love action. I love like my cheap thrills, just like the next guy. And I'm also an appreciator of like a really well crafted story. And I really love it when the two are combined. There's a lot of good examples of that. Like through anime and cinema history, So I am completely okay with there being a Gundam movie that's just really well done as far as the story goes, and maybe like the battles take a backseat. The problem is Gundam has yet to deliver me like a very compelling story with compelling characters that I actually care about. So I'm watching this movie and just getting frustrated, because Gigi is the worst person on earth. Like, I don't know who I hate more, her or Quest.
No, Kenneth, the Captain Kenneth is the worst. I mean,
Captain Kenneth is just like, I just roll my eyes at him because I feel like he kind of knows what he is. Like, Gigi is like, you're just weird. What are you? And like, why do you talk so highfalutin and just condescending to everybody? Like, it's just, and why are you even here? I think that's the main point too. At least Kenneth is a fucking captain. It's like, bitch, you just did the movie to make people have feelings that don't make any sense. She asks Hathaway
why he was there, how he got there, or she's like, saying, no, I know it's you because you're here, and the only reason you'd be here is blah blah blah. It's like, lady, who are you?
Yeah, she's
Why
just
are
like
you here?
she's like some escort to like rich people, and
Oh
like
yeah.
I don't know what her purpose is.
And then
Gundam
they end up
also
in the
has
same hotel room for no reason.
well,
It's
because
like,
she offers them
I'm
to
half
stay.
naked and I don't want to be here alone, but I'm also like,
I love how he handled it though. He was just like, put your clothes back on." Like he wasn't interested or put out by it. He was just like you're stupid. Go away.
He should have just been like, no.
Yeah.
Because at that point, she thought he knew she was on to his secret identity, and he like played along with it when he should have just like gone to his room. He had another room, but I guess it's like I don't know, he has some kind of soft spot for her.
I think he has a soft spot for her because they mention it, like that he's like, oh, she's giving me feelings again, kind of like Quest, which is part of the reason why it was good to watch Char's counterattack, because I remember, because when he said Quest, I'm like, well, damn it, there's a connection there.
Yeah, who the hell's that?
And then I remember reading the synopsis. It was like 12 years after Char's rebellion. So I'm like, okay, these movies are related somehow. And they're related because friggin' Hathaway Noah is the son of Bright Noah. And I completely forgot that he was in Char's counterattack. You know why I completely forgot? Because he doesn't do anything. I thought he was important. He's not. The only thing he does is like kill like the one really cool female character in that movie. When the worst female character in that movie gets killed, he kills the best one out of revenge. So it's like, okay, it's just,
which kind of in itself,
like,
I don't want to get into Char's too much, but that kind of in itself didn't make a whole lot of sense that he was so upset about it, because they didn't really,
and that's what makes his connection with Gigi that more stupid. It's like you're comparing her to this girl that you had kind of a relationship with 12 years ago, and that girl was stupid, and so like, why didn't you learn your lesson that like, hey, look for girls that are cool instead of girls that are stupid? It doesn't matter if they're new types, they can still be whack people, and they both are. And that's the thing that I was saying earlier, is that like they just kind of busted out of nowhere, like, oh, she can see through lies and know, like, understands people's feelings or whatever. And it's like, without knowing that she's a new type, you don't really understand why that has anything to do with anything, because she knows that Hathaway is Mafty, but it's like, all right, are you gonna tell anybody? I guess you could tell people, but then Kenneth ends up finding out anyway without her telling. So then what's your purpose?
Oh, well, and that part was extra stupid.
Yeah.
He said some kind of throwaway line like, oh, well, I guess we'll see what happens. And he goes, wait, what did you say? She hadn't said anything. And it's just like, are they really doing this?
Yeah. That means he's been Mafty all along. It's like, I guess that's a clue. It's like CIA or it's like CSI when they're like, you know, about to leave like the crime scene, like, ain't shit to see here. And then somebody's like,
wait, let's go say shit? That reminds me.
And then they like fucking run out into the lawn and trip right next to some dog shit. And then they're like, give me my super spectrometer glasses. And then they enhance and they can see like molecules or something in the shit. Like that, it's about as dumb as that. So it's like, all right, man, if you're going to make me like not watch the Gundams fight, have a story that makes sense. Have characters that are intriguing or interesting in the slightest bit, and they just never do it. I'm complaining a lot. I don't want to say that this was like the worst thing that I've ever seen. I don't think this was trash or anything, but largely I was uninterested because I wanted this thing to be great because it looked so fucking fantastic. Like anytime they got down to business, I was there for it. I was like, this is cool. But so much of the movie is just them speaking cryptically to each other or just saying things that are completely asinine and trying to build a love story that's nothing. It's super flimsy.
Well, then for the dub titles part, it changed the fucking meaning. Like at one point, the dub, they said something about oh, it must be Anaheim or Anaheim must be involved. But the subtitle says, we've been played by Anaheim. I'm like, that means two very different things.
Yeah.
And there was just a bunch of stuff like that. And it was like, this is completely changing the meaning. And like, honestly, the subtitles made the dialogue a lot more tolerable. And
well, I'm glad I watched it subbed.
Yeah, because, oh man,
I was
the
frustrated
English dubbing
as it
was just, yeah. Well, I mean, go watch the dubs and then be thankful for what you have.
I won't.
Jesus, it was, yeah. It's like, it was borderline, like, it was awkward. It was constantly awkward. It was borderline nonsensical at times.
Well, and a lot of
like,
it is like, I don't think it's the acting so much. I mean, it's the writing.
No, the dialogue is non sequiturs. It's just like they're just bouncing from like thing to thing, and it's just like they tried to make it
and what's
better,
so funny
and they made it worse. Like they tried to make it more natural or like colloquial or something. Like I don't know. It's like people who I don't know. They should have just left it as or just done a 1-to-1 of the subtitles.
And what's so funny is, like, Char's is the same way. Char's moves way faster and a lot more stuff happens, including action. But, like, the dialogue is just as weird. Like, the way that people...
I mean, the dialogue's way worse. And it seems like right before they're going to give you information that you would think was valuable, they do a cut to a different scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, or, like even mid-conversation, they'll just, like... They'll ask a question and somebody say, oh, I was just thinking about this and that. She's like, but you answered the question and it's going to develop the plot that we care about.
You mean he's cut?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he's a cut. Come on, just give me the words because I'm too stupid to know the reference that she's talking about to go back and make the connection myself. Like, bring it down. And again, like Marcus said, it's a good movie. Like it's worth watching.
I didn't say it was good.
Okay, you didn't say it was good. I think it's worth watching. Like I enjoyed it. It's got its share of issues. The things I liked about it, the animation, obviously, the perspective you get on the Gundams, I think the setup for what the next two movies will be was good. The ending was super abrupt.
That's what made me look it up. When it ended, I was like, yeah, this has got to be like the first in a something, some sort of ology. Because
at the end, you start seeing all these new characters. They're like spouting off names, and I'm like, who the hell are these people? Are they important?
Well, the funny thing about it is like the ultimate battle in the whole thing is against this guy, Lane Aim, who's this like hotshot new type, really young.
Lane Aim.
Yeah, this really young pilot. And you kind of hear him referenced twice, but other than that, you really don't know what his character is like at all. So you're having this like final fight in this thing. And I'm like, yeah, it looks cool, which is fine, but I don't really feel like the tension of it. I'm just watching.
Well, Lane Aim was just kind of there, like he's just the pilot.
That's what I'm saying. So like, usually you would think like you're leading up to like this final battle. It's going to be against like two parties that you have some sort of interest in.
Right. It would have made more sense if it was against Slag, and he was flying. I don't know. Was Hathaway flying the Penelope? And I don't know which one. Lane was flying.
Hold up. Lane, I thought was flying the Penelope. And I thought Hathaway was flying like the Z Gundam? Zai?
Lane Aim.
Yeah, what's he piloting?
Flew the...
Yeah, I think he was the Penelope,
Jesus.
wasn't
he? Yeah, I think so.
And, another thing about Gigi is like I'm just like watching it again on mute. I got it on in the background and like, yeah, the animation looks so good. And she's like screaming. There are these Gundams battling and they're on foot, like kind of, just trying to survive. Her and Hathaway, they're like fleeing this battle. And she's like screaming, she's traumatized, and then like later they get rescued and they're like on like a, like a chopper or whatever. And she's just like, boy, what a crazy day. It's just like, face palm. Like you were just traumatized and screaming your damn head off. Like you don't just snap and go back to normal with your stupid like.
Maybe she
quips.
just she's a psycho.
She is a psycho. That's part of the reason I hate her. It's like all those new type chicks that they make. I mean, it's only two, her and Quest, that I can compare, but like they're both insane. Quest had a little bit more of a excuse, I think, because at least she came off to me as younger than Gigi. She was way more annoying though, and her whole set of circumstances was absurd. The fact that she became a Gundam pilot in the way that she did, but yeah, like when the movie is opening. And they're holding the shuttlecraft hostage that's coming down to Earth, and they have guns out and everything. And then, like, they're threatening everybody by brandishing their weapons, like asking people questions, and like your normal intimidation tactics. She's just like watching the tablet, laughing, and somebody's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I think this is funny."
Oh
and
yeah,
then,
that part.
And then she like uses what's playing on the screen to basically intimate that she knows they're lying or whatever. And then the lead guy that's acting like he's Mafti, but he's not, like ends up killing two people. And then she starts freaking out. It's like, yeah, they got guns and they've been yelling the whole time. It's like, what were you acting all coy for a second ago? And now you're all like freaked out and horrified. Like I thought you were going to be full psycho where they shoot them and then you just go, well, they're not going to kill me. But no, you're like, you scream like like a normal person would, but just act normal to begin with. Like I don't.
Yeah. And then the end.
And her, she doesn't even serve any purpose. That's the thing that makes me so mad. At least if she was like a pilot, I would get it. Or if she was like some lieutenant's daughter or something, I would get it. She's just fucking there. It's like, what are you here for? Why
She's
are
got
you
that
in this
intuition.
story?
She's Lady Luck.
But she's
just-
not.
Well, then, like one of the last lines of the movie is her just saying like, "I'm not that obsessed with living anyway." And she's just like, "What? What kind of like
what are you
edgelord
talking
bullshit
about?
is this?"
I thought she was gonna like try to kill herself right then.
Why
But
did
she just said it and
Why
cut.
did she say that? Who was? Because she was talking to Kenneth, right? At the
Yeah,
very
she was
end.
talking to Kenneth. Something about
He probably said, "Oh, people do what they have to survive" or something. I'm not that obsessed with living anyway. It's like, okay, whatever.
sleep with me so I can win this war.
Yeah. Gigi, you really should sleep with me. It would bring my my squad good luck. Like, really? Like, this is what we had to sit through to get to the good robot action. Like,
Yeah.
no, don't.
And then all like the good stuff about like the rebellion and like that, like it's just kind of glossed over. It's like, yeah, Mafti's the leader of the rebellion. He doesn't like Earth.
So the good things about it, let's talk about Mafti and like, all right, so Mafti is the leader of this rebellion or whatever, and this guy, Hathaway Noah, or this person who says he's Hathaway Noah, whatever.
He actually is Hathaway Noah, but yeah.
Okay, he is Hathaway Noah, but he's also Mafti, but nobody knows that except for Gigi somehow. I feel like that's the only purpose she serves. Is that
That's
like,
her intuition or whatever.
She cracks his secret. Now she knows who he is, so he's got to like try to play it off. And so it creates this interesting situation where like, oh, the attack that he's in the hotel that's being attacked by his own, allies as part of their strategy. And so he's got to make like he's trying to protect Gigi, but he's also like in with these people, and this is part of an attack that he planned. So he's trying to survive the attack that he helped plan and try to save her without giving himself away. And then so like there's an interesting tension there where like, oh, how's he get, like there's a part where one of his like I don't know the lady, one of his allies is like waiting ahead and he's still with Gigi, so he can't just go up to her and say like, oh yeah, the operation's going great, let's get out of here. He like veers left and she's like, where are you going? And like that was cool. I was like, okay, so he's playing both sides sort of. And like from there it gets a lot more interesting. But I don't feel like we had to suffer through all of Gigi's nonsense to get there.
Yeah,
Like,
I guess
they
I
could have
was
just
so
said
blinded.
like, Go ahead.
I guess I was just so blinded by hate for her that I didn't think about the fact that her presence being there precipitated the events of the attack and him having to give her the slip, which like.
But he could have given her the slip by just staying in his own hotel room. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, okay, I
just
guess
said
that kind of
no.
nullifies it then. Yeah, he could have. He could have just said no. But the whole thing is, I think he gravitates towards her because
For whatever
new type and quests and. But it's dumb. It's dumb. Though.
Yeah, it's shallow. It's weird.
Even if it's a reason, it's a dumb reason. Like I want Gundam. And if you want to have female characters, like, that's great. That's fine. Make more characters like Chan in Char's Counterattack. She was an effing mechanic.
Yeah,
she
and
was,
the girl, he's...
Esmeralda.
Not her. The one before that. The one he meets in, like, the botanical garden or whatever. She's just a regular girl. Just a normal human who's part of his team. And she delivers her lines like a normal human. Like, have more normal human female characters.
Yeah. But here, take Gigi. Take Gigi's character, right? Make her Lane Aim. Get rid of Lane Aim. They can't because it's based on a book. But if you're going to redo it, make her Lane Aim. All right. So she's not crazy. She's actually a pilot. And she's actually one of your comrades because you're going under the guise of a dude that is the son of Bright Noah, who was a guy who fought for the Earth Federation 12 years ago. So you can act like, your former comrades, because Hathaway was saying, like, yeah, I don't do soldier stuff anymore. I'm a botanical researcher or whatever. So make her a pilot, and then it all makes more sense about, like, their relationship, because it's like, about Gundams, she knows about Gundams. Everybody thinks that you're still cool with the Earth Federation because of the legacy of your father or whatnot. And like it even makes her having to deal with Kenneth make more sense because he's gonna be her superior. So then they have a relationship where it's like Kenneth's being inappropriate to his like subordinate and blah blah blah. Like you can make her have a point, and then when they have to fight at the end, it's like, oh shit! Like these two people who they sort of have this connection because he's thinking about Quest, who was also a mobile suit pilot. Like they're gonna have to fight, and it's gonna be like all those years ago or something loosely like that. Like make her have more of a point, so that like the fact that she knows makes me care at all, other than it's just like, oh, it's just some chick that feels things. And that's really the only reason why she's supposed to be important. And on top of which, her personality is really annoying.
What do you think of Mafty's motivation?
Oh, God.
I don't remember it. And it sounds like Alan remembers it. Enlighten me.
He wants everybody off. He wants all the humans off of planet Earth without exception.
Yeah, he basically... His idea was to save the planet by getting everybody off of it. Which sounds, I don't know, like,
it's a lot
I guess
better than
Char's. Well, Char's plan was to freeze the entire planet, which is worse, because then you're just, I don't know how that saves the environment.
I mean, it'll eventually recover, like, Ice Age will end, I guess,
but like,
maybe, probably.
I think Mafty's goal is a little more...
It's not any more
sense.
It's not really.
It's not any more feasible.
Get every single human off Earth. Like, shut up.
Right. Well, yeah, that's not feasible. But like, at least on paper, it's like, okay, yeah. Then you just let nature recover. If you freeze the whole planet, I don't know. Maybe there's some logic behind like Ice Age.
Then you get rid of all the humans. And then, the Ice Age.
Well, you get rid of all the animals and other ecology that exists too.
Right. You just create a barren planet.
Yeah, but that shit happened before. It'll work out again.
Maybe. Or it can end up like Venus that went into fucking like friggin' CO2 overload.
Well, and I think Mafty's was like just for 100 years or something like that. Like get people off the planet for 100 years and then come back. Or something like that. Whereas Char's was freeze the planet and
freeze the planet because they're polluting it.
Question mark, profit.
And also gravity makes people's souls bad. And
And that's why old couples fight.
And that's why people get divorced sometimes and cheat on each other. It's fucking stupid. It's like this is the dialogue that we're dealing with Gundam. I wish this was the only time I've like heard dialogue like this in a like Gundam, but it's not.
And it's the same kind of thing. It wasn't as bad, but like it was one of my beefs with Megalobox too. Was like everyone's kind of waxing poetic, but not actually saying anything.
Nothing.
It's just like sometimes when a flower blooms, it opens a window. It's just like shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's funny because I won't say it's better, but I actually enjoy Char's more because like at least the pace is super fast and them fuckers fight the whole movie. Yeah, there is so much action.
That's what I'm saying.
The scene where they're barraging the meteor base with missiles.
Yeah. That
was cool.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, fuck the treaty, whatever he did.
Yeah, I was watching
and it was just like dominating them. That was like, damn, this dude's serious.
I had this like rush of like nostalgia and like serotonin when they did the delayed explosion, like when they cut or like when they pierce somebody with like a laser bolt and then there's like this delay and then they explode. I'm like, that is the satisfaction that I've been missing from like, because I watched just about all of Gundam Wing when I was a teenager, and I don't know if I would still think so. But at the time I was like, this is great. Like it's got like this high, minded kind of philosophical element and just this like sick action. There's like 5 different like awesome looking robots and they're all like, they're always cutting up the enemies and talking about why they fight and how they have to keep fighting. And one of them doesn't want to keep fighting, but he has to, and to defend the weak. And it was my jam. And Hathaway like gave me like sprinkles of that feeling, but then when I went and watched Char's, I was just like, this is what I need.
Yeah, because
Char's is classic Gundam. Yeah, I think it holds up in the fact that it's that classic style of anime. It's not. I don't think that's for everybody, but I think it's easier to look at that and give it a pass on certain things like bad animation and bad dialogue.
I don't think the animation's bad. I mean,
parts of it were. There was a scene where she like did a somersault into a cockpit in space.
That wasn't
without
bad.
A suit on.
That wasn't bad animation. That was just dumb. Like it was actually.
But I thought the animation
well.
looked stupid too. On top of that, maybe I just
it's hard
was
when
so
they're doing
shocked
dumb
by the whole
things
thing.
too.
No, it was for them animating somebody doing a somersault through space. Like it was done pretty well.
All right, you would know better than me, Marcus, but to my untrained eye, it looked kind of corny.
Char's, I don't think, like the very first time I watched it, Alan, it was probably like the same era where you were, flipping out about Wing, where I'm just like, oh my God, this is the most awesome. I think the second time I watched it, I was hanging out with a bunch of people, so I didn't pay that much attention to the story. I was just like watching it when the action scenes happened. So I feel like this time was the first time as an adult I watched it, and I can squarely say that movie's dumb. Like the story is stupid. It is so asinine. Like the people, like all the complaints I have about Hathaway are worse in Char's, but what Char's does to make up for it is these fuckers are fighting all of the time. So like anytime a battle starts, it's like you don't like stupid shit said, but 2 minutes from now, you're going to be in the middle of a space battle that's awesome.
That's what I'm talking about.
And it constantly is just moving, and they're doing a lot of cool things with like the camera work, and like the mechs all look fucking dope. The like the funnels like that they control with their mind, and like when you have like one mobile doll's funnels fighting like the Gundams, like it's a battle within a battle, like all of that shit's so cool. So it's like, I think this movie is dumb, but at the same time, it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, well, I think that's what Gundam is about.
No, it's not though. That's what I want it to be about, but it isn't. It really isn't.
That's Gundam to me. That's all I want from Gundam.
Well, yeah, that's what it's about as far as like for us three what we wish it was.
Yeah.
But then like you started watching it, because I remember I let you borrow 0083, and I remember you like texted me something. You were like, "What am I supposed to like about this?" or something. Like you were just not feeling it, and I was like,
"Yeah, I didn't like the characters." And like the one dude was always like, but like even then, like the guy, it's old school, so there's a lot of like, you know, sexual harassment basically. But remembering, I feel like the dialogue felt more natural than like
it's more natural. But here's the thing about 0083. I like it, and I watched it right before I let you borrow it. So that was like what, 4 years ago or something like that. Like I can't tell you what the story was. I can just tell you that like I remember watching it and loving how they drew the Gundams and the ships and outer space. The thing that 0083 did that I liked a whole lot was that they always had space dark. It was always really freaking dark, and you couldn't see everything like it actually would be in space. It wouldn't be like even lighting, and you wouldn't be able to see all the colors illuminated perfectly. Like you would have to be at a certain angle with the sun to actually see details on stuff. And if like there was an object in between you and the sun, you would see shadow and then maybe highlights here and there. And they did that throughout the whole thing, and I thought that was really cool. So really, that's the only reason I kind of like 0083. That and just nostalgia, because I watched it on Adult Swim, you know, back in my college days. That's really it. But as far as like, you know, the story and the philosophy and the history and the lore, I'm just like, it doesn't do much to bring me into it.
But that's the intrigue of Gundam. Like you have to get into, if you want to be a Gundam fan, you have to get into the intrigue and the lore and why people are fighting the way they are. The problem is that barrier to entry is very high and
they don't
hard to get through.
They don't ever say anything that makes you want to go like, "Ooh, I want to know what this war is about."
Right. It's kind of like Marvel Comics in a way. Like if you read Marvel Comics, they're like, "Oh, reference back to such and such issue," which is a little more palatable in some ways, because it's like, okay, if I ever go back and read that, I'll know what they're talking about. But you don't necessarily need that information in the context of what you're reading. In Gundam, they reference things. They don't tell you what to go back to figure out more of it is. You have to Google it yourself. And then when you do Google it, like, oh, well, it this particular event spans 3 different Gundam shows and movies. So if you want the whole story, you should watch Gundam Unicorn episodes 6 through 8, and then also watch Char's Counterattack or something like that. Like it's kind of all over the place. And to have all that knowledge, you just have to be a diehard Gundam fan. But the biggest issue is that when movies like this come out, like casual people who enjoyed Gundam at one point can't necessarily get into it because they don't have that history of Gundam in their brains, and they can't just, you know, pull out this information and be like, oh yeah, I remember that one scene in Char's Counterattack where Hathaway did XYZ. Like if you hadn't seen Char's Counterattack in 15 years, you were gonna hardly remember that. And anything that happened in the movies leading up to Char's Counterattack, if you hadn't seen those even longer, or, you know, ever, like the weight of those battles, you can kind of get into it and you can enjoy watching kind of the spectacle itself, but you're not going to get the depth that you could be getting if you held a degree in Gundam. And that's ultimately my issue is that I don't have a degree in Gundam. I'm never going to get one. And I want to enjoy these things, but they make it hard to enjoy at face. You can enjoy it at face value, but to really get the depth that they put that they really want you to get out of it, it's too much.
What would a degree in Gundam be? A BSG, bachelor's in the science.
Bachelor's
of
Gundam science.
No, it'd be a BMS, bachelor's in mobile suits.
All right, there we go. BMS.
BMS, bachelor's of Mafty stuff.
Yeah, name soup.
Professor Mafty.
Quest Pariah.
Teacher at Gundanium University.
Gundam. All right. Final thoughts, or did we kind of cover that?
We can wrap up with some final thoughts.
My final thoughts on Hathaway by standalone, I think it's worth watching. And nothing else, the animation's really good, and there's some semblance of a sensible story in there. And it's the first of a trilogy, so hopefully the trilogy wraps it all up. I don't really have any hope for Gigi. I think she's just going to be a kind of a stupid character the entire trilogy. But maybe they'll change my mind. I guess we didn't talk in depth about Char's Counterattack, but
that's fine.
You know, it is what it is. It's a classic Gundam. If you like Gundam, you've probably seen it. If you haven't, you know, I think it's worth watching. You may not love it, but it's worth watching. That's me. Alan.
Should I go next? I thought the beginning was really slow and kind of frustrating. It doesn't really represent. It's way different from the second half, which gets into it. Gets to the meat and potatoes instead of this weird, awkward, like nauseating love triangle thing that they tried to set up. Yeah. So it's very, very okay for my book. I think I'd probably call it a safe skip. But, you know, hopefully the next two installments kind of make it worth the trouble. And Char's was fun. I'm going to go finish Char's soon.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really have anything new to add, I guess. I'd probably also say safe skip. I don't know if I'm going to watch movie 2 or 3 because, like, what you're saying is true. The second half of it does pick up where he finally ditches her and, like, hooks up with his people.
Yeah.
And they start actually making plans about doing things.
Yeah, doing what they're there to do.
Yeah, things that are actually going to affect the world. All that stuff is cool, but the problem for me is, like, by the time they got there and things got cool, I was just mad.
Yeah, me too.
I was just like, make the whole movie this.
Right.
Especially when I saw how good the fucking action was. I was like, this looks so fucking cool. It feels good. The sound effects are on point. Like I believe that these people are legitimately skilled individuals. Like, why was half this runtime wasted on not this? Give me all this. Until you give me all this, I'm not watching another one. I'm not doing it. Like, it's annoying, especially when the movie looks as good as it does. Because, like, I saw the trailer, and I'm not a Gundam fan for all the reasons that I've already mentioned. But when I saw the trailer, I was like, man, I gotta watch that one because they're doing the throwback style, just like, you know, with updated animation technology. So it's like, I gotta watch this shit. But I was just disappointed, man. Like, I don't want to be frustrated the first half of a movie just to get to the good stuff in the second half. So, you know, if you're more patient than me, or if you just love Gundam, definitely watch it because production value is off the charts, A+ on that regard. But yeah, man, Gundam, y'all stories are whack, yo. Like, y'all characters are worse. Go watch Char's, man. Char's is like the perfect bad 80s anime to watch. Like, it's get some friends, like, do a fucking, like, a watch party if you're not
I thought you were gonna say
people.
do some coke.
Do some coke.
Get your friends.
Dude, you wouldn't even be able to watch the whole movie if you were coked up. You'd be like, shit, I'm a Gundam pilot right now. You would, like, get in your car, try to fly that shit. You would try to, like, fucking paste the
I gotta go fast,
laser.
man. I gotta be like like the Gundam.
You wouldn't be able to handle it. There's no way you'd be able to. I wouldn't. I'd be like, man, fucking Neo Xenon for life. I'd be trying to find a jet pilot
Going
to get
out in a
in.
blaze of glory.
But yeah, it is a good, classic, dumb, but very entertaining anime that actually has, for the time, really good animation and really good action. So that's a fun one. just be prepared to hate Quest with all of your being if you're anything like me, because I despise her. Yeah,
Quest was terrible.
Yeah, I hated her all 3 times I watched it.
Yep, and that's okay.
And it's funny because every time the second 2 times I watched it, I'm like, why did I hate her again? And I'm like, oh yeah.
Yep, she reminds you real quick.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Anything else?
I think that's it.
I was gonna say one more thing, and I completely forgot what it was. So
Did you guys? I forgot. This is a little post-it note on here. Did you guys see the awkward caressing when like they hugged as like Galman was like exploding? Or something?
What the frick was that?
They were all
weird.
like up and down, rubbing on each other's
Yeah.
backs, like just for no reason. I was like, why are they like super hugging?
That was that Hathaway and Gigi?
Yeah.
Okay. Was that was when Gowan got taken and they were like, we're gonna question you good. Right?
Yeah, it was like I think as his Gundam was going down or something.
Okay.
Or his mobile suit.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yep, I noticed it.
Weird.
To me, it wasn't any dumber than anything else. But
Yeah.
oh, one last thing I wanted to complain about: Gundam's partial gravity pisses me off so bad. I hate it. It makes no sense whatsoever.
What do you mean?
What are you
Like,
talking about?
Anytime they're in space, they did it way more in Char's than Hathaway. But Hathaway, they did it when they were on the shuttlecraft en route to Earth, where they have like this partial gravity where it's like everything's normal, but then somebody gets up to go move and they fucking launch themselves off of the ground and just like start floating into stuff. But then they go back on the ground or into a seat and everything's normal again. It makes me so fucking mad.
yeah.
And there was one scene in particular that pissed me off because Gigi was ordering her drink, and like so the flight attendant is like pouring the drink in the glass.
Yeah, the drink
and
pours
then, like,
normal.
The drink pours normal, and then not
Yeah.
only that, she kind of lets go of the glass a little bit. The glass floats up. She catches it. The liquid stays in place. I'm like, can you not?
Yeah.
Can you not? Like it's not consistent whatsoever.
Just don't
it's not.
animate that if you're not gonna do it right.
And it's in it's in so many of the Gundams. It was in 0083.
Yeah.
It was all over Chars. It was in
Maybe they knew
Hathaway.
and they're just like, we know this doesn't make sense.
It just
We're
reminds
doing
you.
it.
I mean, it's cool when it's there because you're like, oh wow, that's like really attention to detail. Except it's not. It's like selective
Yeah,
detail.
if it was consistent, it would be awesome. It'd be really awesome because then they had a scene where he was in the bathroom and he was washing his hands and there was like this bubble thing over the fucking hand washer so that the
Yeah,
water
that was cool.
would stay contained.
Yeah.
That's cool. You're pouring somebody a glass, you need to fucking put that shit in a zippy cup because she's not going to be able to just be moving it around and the fucking liquid not go out. And then
See, the liquid was dense.
And then their
And-
clothes are all like just hanging off them normal, like they're in Earth gravity. But
Yeah.
then why is her hair all floating around?
Yeah.
that doesn't make any
just say
sense.
artificial gravity and draw it normal.
Right.
Or like
It's-
have, like if you lose gravity, that would be a cool contrast to like, oh, all of a sudden everybody's hair is floating and the drinks are.
Right.
Right. It's like do it all the way because that's one of the things about Gundam is it's supposed to be super detail oriented, which is why I think the story is told the way it's told. Because there's just a lot of details to the universe. But like, sometimes they just do things that don't make sense. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. Last final.
All right, we're done. It's gone on too long. Thanks for listening, folks. Catch us on the Twitter at Otaku or post anime beals.
Anime Beals.
Anime.
Post some
Anime.
anime
We post
beals.
them Ally McBeals.
I post Ally McBeals every day. The Dancing Baby's making a comeback.
Oh,
Get that
God.
box set.
Now we're dating
Get
ourselves.
the box set. Get the steel book. Get the limited edition. Get the premium.
Get the
Premium.
Gunpla. Get the
Get
Pop Funk. The Funko Pop.
Oh my God! If there's an Ally McBeal Funko Pop, that'd be hilarious.
Are we
Dude, I
still
bet you
talking
there
about? We
is.
still talking about Ally McBeal? Jesus.
I bet there is.
I want that Ally McBeal Gunpla.
No, you don't. No.
Ally McBeal was a
Funko Pop.
sitcom in the 90s, kids.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It has
We're
nothing to do
Nobody
with
that
anime.
young listens
Don't,
to this show.
don't look it up. It's
There
not.
is an Ally McBeal Funko Pop.
Stop.
Of course.
I mean, there's a Funko Pop for everything.
It's true.
Are there?
There
Do we have
is.
Funko Pops yet? I think we're almost
Yeah,
to
we
Funko
do.
Pop status.
Plain. If you can find a plain one with those stupid eyes, stupid dead eyes, that's us. I hate Funko Pops.
Okay.
They're so dead.
Yeah, I don't like them either.
That's just my opinion, and as is everything on this silly show. So if you don't like it,
Yeah.
well, that's
Second
your
worst,
opinion.
soon to be the third worst podcast because we're working hard on improving ourselves and moving on up in the world. So yeah, be ready. Number 3, we're taking your spot.
Yeah, third to last, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's it. We're on YouTube a little bit now. I've been catching up, so we'll have all of our episodes up hopefully in the next couple weeks. And anything else I forgot?
Did you mention the Twitters? The Twitters, both.
I
the
did
Twitters.
mention the Twitters.
Good job.
Go tweet your twits.
Twittering. Get your Twittering going. All right.
All right,
Let's
I'm
not
gonna
peter
wrap it.
out. Goodbye, everybody.
And
We
this
love
is the
you.
end.
Thank you.
Kiss my ass, Tanaj.
Gundam it.
Damn it. Adios, amigos. Still petering. Bye.
Peace.
Oh, yeah.
Well.